It'd be good. It'd be amazing. But I have a feeling we might just see 3 StarCraft games, potentially even 2 if one of these start to run away with it. In the bottom left here, currently teamless, looking to try and repeat the results of their earlier best of 3 in this group. It is RiSky.
On the bottom right-hand side, the Protoss, it is the beast, TeebuL. Already starting off with a bit of a risk against RiSky, going gas first, which means he's not scouting. Wants to get a nice little advantage there, and that's going to give him the ability to build an early Stalker if he wants to deny scouting, and a Stargate at the same time. Basically, just makes your whole build a little bit smoother. It's a really, really nice way of playing.
That's right. It's actually been a long while between drinks for these guys as far as series are concerned. Or before they were in a group together, I should say. It's actually, as far as EPT is concerned, it was actually back in May they last faced off, where it was once again a narrow victory, a 2-1, but it went TeebuL's way that time. But I feel like back in May, RiSky was a little bit more fed up with the video game than he is now. I feel like a couple months off, it feels like RiSky's been kind of like partially inactive, I guess, or mostly inactive, focusing on other things for a few months. And I think that can give you a ton of clarity, especially in a Zoomer esport like Fortnite. Your career's dead if you take 3 months off. It's like the game's changed so much. You're a boomer now. You don't understand anything about the video game. StarCraft 2, it's a bit of a slower moving beast, but it stands the test of time. And it's the kind of game where you can disappear for a few months, come back, get a ton of clarity, and actually even potentially level up as a player. It's happened before, and it'll happen again, I imagine, because this game's been around for 11 years. I expect it to be around for 11 more.
Yeah, the classic retirement. I'm not practicing anymore. I'll just play tournaments for fun into best tournament placing, ever. When they take a bit of time off and they get a bit of space and start thinking about it a bit more. Yeah, Beyond. I think about Marine Lord getting to the finals of Valencia back in 2016, I believe it was. Which was an absolutely surprising and shocking run for him at the time. Did lose the finals to Nurture, but that was another one where he was like, yeah, I'm not trying anymore. I'll just go to this tournament because why not? I qualified. And it was like, oh, okay, you're going to kill everybody there. And it's happened so many times where take the pressure off a little bit and keep the focus down. But I don't get that sense from RiSky at all, because RiSky seems as focused as ever. So if maybe he's practicing a lot again, I don't know. But I feel like practicing hard or practicing barely at all because he's busy with other things. RiSky is always channeling his rage, which seems to just be his state as a pro gamer, right? It's all about, get angry and use that as fuel, shovel it into the engine, and get excited. Ooh, good start. Gets a creep tumor. Doesn't take any damage either.
Yeah, she's taken a little bit of hit point damage from the Queen now, but of course relying on the Shade for some scouting here, and you're quite right. Picking up that creep tumor is great. Anytime you can slow down the creeper RiSky, it's going to be fantastic. He is the kind of player, again, that is usually reactive and macro focused, so he has, as a result, really good creep spread. RiSky will swarm that map very, very quickly if you can't keep him in check. Oracle #1 flying in here for TeebuL. Stargate opener, as we just mentioned, with the Void Ray to follow. That, 2 Queens already. Yeah, that Oracle is not going to get anywhere near that drone line. Good zoning from RiSky.
Indeed, avoids any catastrophic damage, but the Oracle doesn't take any actual real damage either. Void Ray will clean up the Overlord and deny the scouting. Twilight Council hidden behind the natural goes down immediately, so it's going to be most likely a quick Glaive Adept 4-gate from TeebuL behind this, and does drop a third Nexus. Just a few seconds late on that third Nexus. That, if you're expecting a super tight build from the Protoss, can be a little bit of a tell that he squeezed another structure down before getting that Nexus. You're like, hey, why is that not down at 3 minutes 50, 4 minutes? Why is that down at 4 minutes 10?
That's going to be at least a couple dead Adepts there, which is really nice for RiSky. Like, even if he doesn't get a pylon, doesn't get any cancel on that Nexus, which would be catastrophic for TeebuL, let's be honest. Killing 2 Adepts for just a handful of links, that's pretty fantastic as well. It's good damage. Oh, we got charged, and we got +1 attack starting here for TeebuL, starting to round out what I think that this guy's plan might be. I think we're going to be seeing a few more Void Rays and swarms of those ground units, I think, to join up as well as extra gateways come down for TeebuL in the background.
Bad pylon placement from TeebuL here is really costing him. I think he didn't want to block the gas too much, but because of that, his Adepts are on a diagonal between the Nexus and the pylon. And Command Center's Nexus hatcheries, all of them have curved edges. They're some of the few buildings that do, where units can move through the kind of corners of it. So if you want to create a choke point, that pylon, same with a depot or anything else, it needs to be kind of somewhere in the middle, at least 2 kind of squares, 2 spaces towards the middle of it. If it's on the edge like that, it doesn't create a solid choke point for the adepts. That being said, fake +1 air upgrade, 8-gate charge lot all in, Maynard. Oh, this is a dirty all in. RiSky's droning. He's building a 4th base. He's building queens right now. It feels like RiSky's preparing for a macro game. And I mean, this is just a great lie that TeebuL's selling him. He's even faking probe production by building just probes on his 3rd base to make it look like he's investing in economy. He's got a fake transfer of workers there as he's pulled off this gas. He's even taken the front gas on his natural. He's done so much investment to trick RiSky, and RiSky's bought it. RiSky's going to 70 workers while Zealots are massing in the top left of the map.
Yeah, this might be one of those one and done kind of situations here. RiSky doesn't really have any units. He's got some lings out. He's got a handful of queens, but these are charge lots, my friend, and they do not care about your queens. RiSky just dropped a Spire. I mean, if that gets done, fantastic, but is it going to see the light of day? I think there might not be a whole lot of Zerg left once that Spire is finished.
Oh, that's a lot of Zealots coming in.
Lings are hitting the 3rd Nexus, and RiSky's face like, oh, God, that's a lot of Protoss.
Oh, this is very bad. There's no way. RiSky just has no units. There's no way he survives this. Queens are tanky, but like he just won't be able to get enough roaches together. Such a great surprise attack from TeebuL, and it is slaughtering the queens and drones.
He's killed 15 so far, and once the queens go down, the army of RiSky doesn't really exist. He's making some roaches right now. 5 of them on the way, 3 already out, so 8 in total. But more and more charge lots are here, and they are ripping and tearing the natural and 3rd base of RiSky. Drones just trying to find safety, but there's nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. More Zealots coming in from that proxy gateway up to the north side of the map here. Oh my God, it's a bloodbath.
Oh, yeah. Rip and tear indeed, Maynard, and this one, it is done. RiSky's trying to micro those roaches up into the main. He's got the queen. +1 range kicking in, but yeah, the thing is, Zealots beat roaches handily if they can get on top of them. You need a big ball of roaches together that you can micro, move and shoot, move and shoot. That's not going to be enough.
And RiSky is not happy about this at all. Now, he's about ready to tap here, but he certainly stopped playing StarCraft 2. And that is the G there. TeebuL really doing, I mean, credit where credit is due. He sold that story. Like you mentioned, you listed everything that he was doing. Very meticulous, very comprehensive in selling that story, selling the lie, building probes at the 3rd Nexus only, taking the gases as well, hidden away from RiSky. And the scout up the ramp, he was just a pixel, a hex even, away from seeing the extra gateways, that extra information, you know, the hidden Twilight Council, the +1 air attack, which for me initially looked real. I thought maybe it's a Void Ray charge lot thing, like having a bit of an army ball. It's a bit awkward and hard to deal with. I've seen that before, but a fake +1 to just go completely all in on Zealots. It's brilliant.
It's so sick, dude. I mean, it's just like, normally you see 1 or 2 things, but it's like, no, I'm taking a fake gas on my natural and building fake probes like on my 3rd. I don't even know if he was canceling the probes or actually letting them finish. Either way, he doesn't want those probes. It's all about selling the story and the fake upgrade. It's like layers, you know, and you've invested in the Oracle and the Void Ray, which is pretty standard looking opening. I mean, RiSky could have assumed, oh, there's probably some sort of ground transition potentially on the way, but it's a macro ground transition surely. And Court going to, I think, 78, maybe almost 80 drones before the Zealots reveal themselves. I mean, this is something where you're like, wait, this was so all in. If RiSky even stopped at 66, 70 workers and started building roaches, he might have held. That's it. It's a mind game all in. It's not about hitting the fastest, most effective timing. It's about selling your opponent a story, and boy, did he sell that beautiful play.
He certainly did, and it depends who you ask on how beautiful that play was, but I can see the beauty in it. Anyway, we're going to take a short break, guys, and we return. Game 2 between TeebuL and RiSky. So don't go away. We'll see you then. welcome back to the main event here for the DreamHack Masters Winter Oceanic Rest of Asia season. I am Maynard, with me is Pig. We're in the middle of a series here between RiSky and TeebuL. We're one game in, and that's all it took to get our Zerg friend not too happy about how this video game is already going. We're talking about how can be a bit of an emotional player. How you can put them on the bus to Tilt City very cheaply. The tickets are very, very easy to buy. But it looks like that might have already gotten under the skin of our Zerg player here after game one. He was not looking happy in that webcam.
No, not at all. Already venting a little bit over on his Twitter feed as well. But you know what? It is a cheeky all-in. Just did not check for the proxy gate. That cannot catch you out so well if that proxy gate is not hidden up in that corner of the map. But that was really well hidden. And it's one of those things where Zergs, remember, I think back to 2013, 2014, the amount of queued waypoints. You had 3 to 4 Zerglings scouring every corner of those giant 4-player maps. You remember Whirlwind? That was small compared to some of the maps back in like some of those big 4-player ones. And you had to check every corner because all it took was one pylon to do fast warp-ins back then. But the thing is, in Legacy of the Void, it's just not as common for that to happen. The pylon warp-ins aren't as fast. Zergs are a little lazier with scouting for it. And that is why all-ins like that last game do have a decent spot right now. Let's see. I think he's going to be really on top of his scouting this game. He's going to come out with that macro hammer in the top right. This is RiSky.
And in the bottom left with the Heckin' Bamboozle. Let's see if he can get himself a Game 2 victory with a clean sweep for the revenge match here. This is Genesis Gaming's TeebuL.
So Jagannath is a very good map for Queen Walks. Definitely something that could be up as an option, and definitely one of the builds which, if RiSky was just happened to be going for in that last game, would have worked out really well for him because he would have been massing kind of Queen Roach, laying off a bit of a lower work account. But as it is, delayed probe scout comes in for TeebuL, not prioritizing blocking the hatchery. Just wants to check he's not getting 12 pulled.
Yep, certainly. It's very, very rare that you see, I mean, maybe if you like, you get super emotional and it's just, I'll get him. But it's very, very rare to see RiSky drop that 12 pull. He really does, like, he could go for, you know, like a Queen Walk, like you mentioned. I think that's a little bit more up his alley. But like a super, super early pull just doesn't seem like in the wheelhouse of RiSky here.
Yeah, pretty unlikely. And that's why I wouldn't have actually minded TeebuL going like Nexus first here. Just no scout, like, lol, let's see. Because it was a nice start to the last game, skipping the worker scout, getting the gas first up. And I do like getting an advantage leading into an all-in. This is something, you know, Haas does better than any other. Cuts a corner at the start, and his all-in hits a little bit harder and faster than what you're used to. Even very traditionally macro players are very good at doing this, like Neeb. I always think of as someone, people like, he's a macro god, and I was always like, he's the guy who cuts a corner, he does a very greedy opening, and the moment he gets an advantage off it, he then puts pressure on you harder and faster than anybody else, right? And it's like, it's this thing where, you know, TeebuL had such a good start in that game one, also pulled the wool over RiSky's eyes, and ooh, he's gonna go for the Adept Pylon block. 3 Zerglings trying to focus that down. RiSky's just gonna go take the other third base though, so already a little bit of success there for TeebuL.
Yeah, already a little bit of early game damage opening Stargate so far, but that's not really telling the tale of exactly what his plan is this game. It's actually a very, very normal opener so far, but we saw it take a sharp left turn last game. So we'll be keeping an eye on that production tab from the Protoss. Adept coming in and just confirming the infrastructure of the Zergs, seeing the third base, confirming a third hatchery. And I think that's Void Ray first here, yes. Void Ray first instead of going into Oracle and then Void. Other than that, all pretty normal, very similar to last game.
Just checking if you still got me there, Maynard.
Yeah, I still got you.
No worries. Okay, sorry about that. Just had my feed continue, but you'd cut out for me for a second there. Hopefully just on my end. But as it is, looks like, yeah, just Void Rays coming on out. 2 Void Rays for now. Second gateway to complete the wall off. And I'd expect a third base going down any moment now. Looks like a probe will be moving out as this Overlord does get taken down. RiSky's got a second Overlord going in, but then pulling back on the left side of the map. Don't want to lose 2 Overlords so early for free. If that Void Ray finds it, that'll be a really nice pickup for TeebuL.
Yeah, indeed. RiSky is being very vigilant with these lings. Just taking a bit of that map away from the Protoss. As much map control as you could possibly glean. Void Ray starting to push those lings back on the right-hand side. Another one going through the middle here. We're going to join up together to try and, you know, hunt overlords on the path, but also potentially do some harassment when they get a little bit higher in number. But as we can see, TeebuL is actually switching into the ground army here, watching the drop of the Twilight Council, the extra gateways as well. So not a huge reliant on Stargate here for TeebuL.
Yeah, a couple gateways extra going down, as well as that Twilight Council. I mean, if this is a glaive adept timing, it's an incredibly late one. As extra gas goes down in the front of the natural again. I mean, this kind of looks like the same build as last time. +1 air starts, but it is glaives. Wow. Okay. And he does take the 4th gas as well. So it's a... Okay, this is kind of something where Parting did this a whole bunch back in a long time ago, but... Overlord comes in season.
That's a huge scout. Yeah, this is not meant to happen with the Void Rays. This is meant to deny all scouting here. And you see the Void Rays coming back and going, oh, whoops, right. That was our job. Sorry about that.
It's so standard to only have one Overlord on this side of the map because they don't like losing two. This has paid off big for RiSky. Just a small adjustment, leaving this Overlord on this side of the map, coming in a bit later. And now he should be well prepared against any glaive adepts coming across the map. As TeebuL, I'd actually kind of lean out of the resonating glaives at this point. Let it finish, but just get like maybe 6 adepts, shade across, and then split them up. Look for harassment with them down the track, but I would get a move on going to the next step of the game. When it's been scouted this early, I mean, look how much Queen Roach there is. He's going to lose a Void Ray.
Oh, that's not good at all for TeebuL. This actually might force RiSky just go for a Queen Walk. He's got quite a few Queens. He's got 13 Roaches or so at the moment.
Yeah. He's well set up for it. I mean, it would be a great way to play this. And TeebuL's not adjusting and kind of rushing to the next step of his tech. He's still just warping in tons of adepts. But it being spotted really weakens this. So this, I think, kind of highlights RiSky's flexibility. He's waiting for the adepts, ready to crush them. Oh, bad positioning from RiSky. That shade kind of could have gone in, but definitely... Oh, he lets a few adepts continue. And TeebuL only now starting a Robo and Blink. I mean, this is such a slow transition. It feels like TeebuL's kind of following a bit of a set plan, and RiSky is adapting and saying, oh, I'm gonna kill your 3rd with this Queen Walk. By the way, I'm droning behind this and adding roach speed and +1, and yeah, this is a very hard situation to be in for TeebuL.
Yeah, certainly. I think those adepts are gonna have to finish their shade because they need to do something to slow the Zerg down. The Lings intercept them and a couple of roaches in the backline as well, but most of the roaches and the Queens are still marching through the middle of the map.
Indeed, losing these adepts without finding much damage at all. And could focus down a few drones towards the end of it. Yeah, 3 or 4 workers, not too bad. And does end up getting cleaned up. DT Shrine is going to finish, but that's way too late to be useful in this scenario. And there's just no units out. There's one Void Ray. But the moment the Queens are here, that Void Ray is going to have to pull back.
Yeah, that Void is definitely not enough to start the tie here. And those Roaches and Queens are going to be able to buy enough time for the reinforcements to come in from RiSky as well. And like you mentioned, he's droning behind this. He's not all in. Like, this is pretty committed. If he does nothing, it certainly hurts him, but he has a plan B here. Like, he can go into Spire, he's grabbing his extra gases, he's going up to, you know, 60 workers here shortly enough, and TeebuL's going to be losing a lot of these probes. Bile connecting with that transfer of the stacked up probes as well. Dozen of them have gone down. 3rd Nexus is almost certainly forfeit, and while TeebuL might hold on to the 2 bases, RiSky's going to have a lovely economy on his side of the map as long as he doesn't lose absolutely everything. Oh, he doesn't actually have detection here, so the Invisible Men are actually going to start hacking and slashing on this army, maybe being a little bit more effective than initially thought.
Okay, DTs are going to actually keep that 3rd alive, which is kind of impressive. So wow. TeebuL's going to stay in the game for a while. I still think it's a disastrous situation because he lost a lot of probes. And remember that RiSky's up on 70 workers with a Spire finishing. There's no answer to that tech. So 1 round of mutas, RiSky can go like 7-8 mutas, fly those around the edge of the map, and then just go with round 2 of Queen Roaches. I don't see TeebuL having the numbers to stop that. He doesn't have units that scale well. DTs... I mean, they basically rely on there being no detection. They're not like disruptors. They can't just land massive hits. He's going to try and run around with them and see if he can keep RiSky back, but RiSky's already on the way for the next wave.
The DTs are on the right-hand side here, and they're actually managing to stay out of the sensor net of the Zerg, but, oh man, that Overseer is close. Looks like RiSky might have just spotted them there. Yep, caught the DTs. And there's no going home for those lads. Down they go, and that's more damage, more resources lost for TeebuL with not much value at all. And here come the mutas. He's making Stalkers. They have Blink. But it's a little underwhelming as far as an army's concerned here for the Protoss.
Yeah, TeebuL's just outgunned. I think he did go a little bit... Like, to go the flyer attacks here, It's become something a lot of players do, even when they're not going air, just to kind of pretend they're continuing to go air, I think. And in this case, where you only built 2 Void Rays, it really is not a worthwhile expense. You've also gone 4 gases early and then committed to Glaive Adepts that got scouted minutes before it hit. I mean, RiSky has had a clean time of it. This time he got the info, he adapted, he adjusted, and he is slapping TeebuL down in this game. Like we said, the moment he shut down the Adepts, it was pretty much game over at that point. You know, don't want to be a hype killer. Look at the supply though. RiSky's a macro god.
Massive.
TeebuL's more of a, he's good in the macro game, but he's more of a cheeky guy, and once his plan got found out, I mean, there's no way he could keep up pace with RiSky.
Oh, Ling's just going to go past all the units and go, yep. Oh, that main looking nice and open, nice and juicy here, that probe line. Let's get in there. And that pulls the natural open. There is a little bit of an army between the natural and the third here. RiSky isn't going to try and capitalize and go in for the major attack where he brings his main phalanx of units that's still back on creep here, just now being shown on camera. TeebuL expanding in the bottom right, but that's it's a bold strategy. I'm not sure that's going to work out for him. He's going towards Robotics Bay now, and RiSky's just about to max out.
Yeah, RiSky should not wait for Bane speed. He should just go. He's got so many units. He's got a good pack of mutas, a lot of Roachling. I like that he's adding upgrades. He's got a great economy, but we are maxed against a 130 supply Protoss. Now is the time to go. The only way TeebuL gets back in this is if you give him a few minutes to get out 4 or 5 disruptors, lands some magical hits, and claws his way back up in the supply. But RiSky right now is taking his time to get across this map. The Banelings are morphing. He doesn't have Bane speed. I think RiSky, he's still in a massive advantage, but I do sense a lack of decisiveness.
Disruption Nova comes forward and actually gets 4 roaches. A really good disruptor there from TeebuL, but that isn't yet, you know, leveling out the playing field just yet. He hasn't done enough to the army of RiSky to still convince me that he's going to win the upcoming battle. More and more Stalkers coming in. He's definitely getting, you know, getting to the obscene side of the number of Stalkers that he's making. It is great against roaches, and they do have utility against meters as well. And they're also quite good at soaking up Banelings. So the Stalker makes a lot of sense. And it's kind of a weird army here from the Protoss. And RiSky is going towards Hive back at home. 83 drones. TeebuL struggling to get out of his third base economy with 55 workers.
Stalker's gonna try and hem those in, but it's the attack on the front that you gotta worry about.
Oh, disruptors.
Pretty good disruptor shots, but 1 disruptor goes down, and you need better than pretty good when you're outnumbered this badly.
Yeah, indeed. That 1 disruptor in the back line. Just about to go down to these Roaches and Ravages, and here come the rest of the Banes, and that's a lot of mutas, but in the main base, killing a lot of probes, 17 of them gone down, and honestly, RiSky can just go home, and he's still, like, the damage is done. He's lost a lot of Banes, sure, but his mutas have, like, crippled TeebuL.
Oh, absolutely. It's kind of funny because this is a scenario where there's actually nothing that Banelings are good against. Other than workers, like, he keeps massing Banelings, but it's like, Zerglings actually could have won this game by now if he just A-moved Ravager Ling. Like, it's actually a better army against this than the Banelings.
I mean, most Protosses probably wouldn't make this many Stalkers, I suppose. So
yeah.
he's expecting, you know, things like charge lots and that kind of thing. But TeebuL hasn't made a single charge lot since the initial Adepts. He hasn't actually made any of those units that Banelings are good against. Oh, there's that probe line.
No,
oh, no, the
he's
Banelings
just going to go for the
wraparound.
army.
Okay.
They're clumped up.
I mean, he's got so many units that it doesn't matter anyway. Like, we could go lol cost efficiency, but it doesn't matter. RiSky has won this video game. That is it for TeebuL for game 2, and we're going to get a game 3 by the looks of things.
Yeah, RiSky plays his Tsunami card, and TeebuL, unfortunately, does not have a gigantic, goddamn, you know, 500-foot wave defensive wall. It's he's outnumbered, he's outgunned, and this all comes back to the fact that he did go for a big commitment to Glaive Adepts. They were completely shut down. I mean, the fact that RiSky shut it down off such a good economy and did his own big Queen Roach Walk, and it was such a slow progression with the deck behind it. I do think TeebuL missed an opportunity for that quicker transition, right? Oh, he spotted me going for the cheeky Adept play. Bam, drop the row in the Robo Bay, right? If he did something like that, I really think, you know, that Queen Walk runs into even 1 or 2 disruptors, plus some Stalkers already warped in. It's a very different game, but to go for the DT Shrine, I think he was even very lucky that worked out, because RiSky had a lair up for like a minute before the DTs even kicked in. And even though they pushed it back, DTs just don't scale well as a tech, whereas the Disruptors, the Stalkers, scale you into this next part of the game. They defend all of the mid-game Zerg armies and allow you to recover. So TeebuL's obviously just hanging on for dear life here. He's not going to make it. Ultras and Broodlords coming into the late game. I love that Dark has shown us the way, and finally we are seeing top tier Zergs always open up that Ultralisk tech path. It's so useful, especially in this sort of scenario against Stalker Sentry Disruptor.
Yeah. And I also love that RiSky's taking it seriously. He's like, you know, this guy is very, very dead and he won't leave. I'm up more than 100 supply. He must know how dead he is. Why don't I just hold the roach button and kill him? He's actually doing the correct thing, you know, in air quotes. He's like, drop the Great Aspire, drop the Ultra Cavern. We've got our hive units. Let's not give him an edge. Let's continue like he's a lot closer to me than he is. And that was the nail in the coffin there for TeebuL's game 2. So a very clean game, definitely a very risky game. And I mean that for the player, obviously, not the descriptive term. So he gets himself the W, and we're going to see a game 3. And it honestly seems like TeebuL is very much reliant on the, you know, the pulling the wool over your eyes, so to speak, you know, catching you off guard. That seems to be his way to play. And if he doesn't manage to do that, like in that game, that one Overlord from RiSky, imagine if that Overlord does get picked off by the Void Ray. Potentially a very different game. There's a depth store with a bunch of drone damage. RiSky's unprepared. It doesn't have anywhere near as many roaches. And, you know, potentially critical damage. Maybe TeebuL gets the 2-0. But that one Overlord on the far left, it all came down to that. He saw the scout. He saw the Twilight Council getting chrono boosted. He's like, all right, time to make the roaches.
No, these shield batteries just worth nothing at this base. There's no units to defend with it. This was a real sour turn of events for TeebuL. And even though the DTs came in quite clutch to keep the Nexus alive, RiSky was droning behind it the whole time. That was a kind of very late reactive sort of queen walk that he went for, simply because he scouted the Adepts. But he even got a bunch of probes with the Zergling run by. And yeah, the Disruptors needed those heroic shots. They got good shots, but at the end of the day, just a bit too much. And yeah, TeebuL, he's definitely gone for a very tricky all-in game 1. Bit of a tricky pressure game 2, but yeah, just didn't seem to have a backup plan to adapt to a scouted version of it. I do think TeebuL can play a more standard game plan into the kind of mid-game, but so far, we haven't seen a threat of like a Twilight opening or anything like that. So a lot of the time we'll see mind games where a player like doesn't start Warp Gate, pretends they're going Stargate, and then bam, they go to Twilight Council and it's a surprise Glaive Adept timing, or vice versa, right? And that's not something we've seen yet. It may be that TeebuL's working with a smaller kind of set of build orders, and because of that, RiSky might have an easier time of dealing with it. So if it is indeed always coming off this Oracle into Void Ray or Void Ray, just 2 Stargate units into ground, that's going to become predictable. So if we see that repeated for a third time, he's going to take this serious.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Completely agree. In the top right here with a very clean game 2, very well played. Can he do it again here in game 3 and secure the victory? This is RiSky.
His opponent at the bottom left-hand side of the map. In the red, this is TeebuL, playing for Genesis Gaming.
Indeed. Great to see him on the team again. I think he was teamless actually last season, so good work in that regard. Great pickup. Something has a lot of potential to do damage here in these Oceanic Rest of Asia Masters events. He's been a consistent mainstay since joining the circuit.
Indeed, he's had some very solid performances, and 3 workers on gas.
Wow, okay. This is very interesting.
14 workers on minerals he had for a moment there. That's a lot of gas. So, yeah, gonna keep our eyes on what he's got planned here. This is a gas first opening, but you still normally stay 16 on minerals, even with a gas before gateway. So, curious to see what TeebuL's got in store for us.
And RiSky is going to be doing as RiSky does, which is just hatch gas pull and very, very normal. You know, looking at that third base sort of setup back at home, and this is the kind of map where I think either player is not going to be unhappy to play on it. Oxide is a pretty decent map for ZVP. I feel like this is the map where if both players are extremely closely matched, it's going to go to that like split map, sort of, you know, Spore Crawler Forest against Stargate units kind of map. But I feel like that happens on this map more than others for some reason. But maybe it's just because it's just such a standard one, a lot bigger.
Indeed, it'd be interesting to see what comes out of this. TeebuL fighting greed with greed, skipping the scout, and the Overlord camping over, sees the Adept start up, the Warp Gate start up, and you see that? You get to start Warp Gate and the Stargate with 0 delay. So much gas mined early. Cancels Warp Gate, starts +1 air, pure Sky Toss Maynard.
Alrighty. Yeah. He's going to be going for the old mass Stargate style that every Zerg just loved to play against for the last 6 months.
Yeah, it's a fun one.
Is it though?
Yeah, for sure. You don't like, it's the Golden Armada, Maynard. The Void Rays fly in, they kill your lair, they fly back down, they kill your third. And with RiSky's third base, it is harder to defend the Void Rays. You can do it, and I'm sure RiSky's, he's pretty heavy on Queens, so he should be well set up for it. But definitely going to see, does TeebuL go heavy on the Voids, or is this like I make 1 or 2 Void Rays, and then I just go carriers? Because that's a build. We saw this every game on Oxide for like weeks in GSL a season or 2 ago, and it never worked. It was really sad to watch Zest and Parting and these guys throw away so many games that could have been wins on it. I remember it was working at online tournaments, and it was not working in the big events at all for like a couple of weeks, and I was like, stop, please stop. The Zergs were crushing it. Guys like Rogue especially were all over it. Dark as well.
Yeah.
But you know what? It is powerful. It is not a weak build by any means. It just has some very strong moments where it can succeed and other moments where it falls down.
RiSky already getting a little bit of a block there on the Overlord production to replenish the one that was lost. But seeing that one Void Ray doesn't tell you the tale, though, as a Zerg. You need to confirm more than that to know beyond shadow of a doubt that it's going to be a very reliant, like multiple Stargate Void Ray build.
Yeah, about 4 minutes 30. If you go up that ramp and you see that Warp Gate's still not done, because you can see that, of course, when the gateways don't morph at all, that's going to be the thing that kind of tells you, hey, wait a second, about 4 minutes, that should have finished. Maybe as late as 4 minutes 20 if you went Stargate before Warp Gate. So those Zerglings, if they poke up that ramp, RiSky should know what he's up against.
I don't know if you even click on the Void Rays at this point. Like, do you check upgrades on air units when you're flying around with your Zerglings? Probably not.
I definitely don't, but RiSky's a much better player than me. Now, he does see that those aren't Warp Gates. Hopefully RiSky noticed that. He's building, he's supply blocked again, Maynard. And another Overlord's going to go down. He's got a lot queued up, but RiSky's macro, 46 versus 46 workers, is looking way better for TeebuL than last game already. A few small errors from RiSky as he's frantically trying to figure out what the heck are you doing?
Oh, we do have a macro error there from TeebuL as well. He got blocked as well. Pylon's just finishing up now. And yeah, with the Overlords going down, it has been painful, but RiSky, I feel like, is, for the most part, doing the right thing. He is... there we go. No Warp Gate. Hello, he's confirmed that now. So RiSky has to be completely aware of what he's up against at the moment.
Absolutely. Should know it's Skytoss. Phoenix, though, much more mobile, hard-hitting and harassment-focused version to open up with, but only one Phoenix building right now. And yeah, there should be constant 2 Stargate Phoenix production. Looks like they're going to be moving out with the Void Rays. So if the Queens get lured out by the Void Rays, the Phoenix pick them up. If he kills all the Queens, it could be game. Oh, this is bait. This is bait. Oh, RiSky. He comes out, but there's only 4 Phoenix. Is that enough?
Oh, the Phoenix is going to help out with these Voids. They pick up 2 of the Queens, 3 of the Queens, getting lifted up in the sky. More Queens coming down to assist. That one Void Ray so low, but it pulls back just in time to disengage. RiSky's Queens are going down.
Dude, RiSky took the bait. He's losing all of his Queens. I feel like it was Katowice we saw someone do this. I mean, this is a very powerful move, and it can really work wonders.
I mean, RiSky losing those Queens does certainly hurt a lot, but he is not dead. It wasn't enough to kill the Zerg. It was definitely a great move from TeebuL, though, and look at those trades. He's done such a fantastic job with his strategy so far.
Yeah, that was a great way to get some momentum. Swapping into ground play behind this. Forge getting upgrades, Twilight Council, extra gateways. The Phoenix still going to be an ever-present harassment force. RiSky, he has got a 5-worker lead, but not got a 4th base just yet. And that's making it feel like he's very limited in his options.
Yeah, certainly. He's gone multiple spores per base as well. Does catch a Phoenix there. A little bit of miscontrol from TeebuL, but he's still got so many more where that came from. Picking up Overlords, going for drones. Every bit of damage he can do with these Phoenixes is going to be important, because he has invested so heavily into them. Another Phoenix going down to a spore there. And he hasn't really killed enough Overlords to supply block the Zerg, and RiSky's actually making a ton of Overlords right now. He's about to have a huge supply cap. But it looks like Hydras are next on the menu, and with TeebuL going for a ground army switch, if RiSky can get up a good ball of Roach Hydra, he can deal with a ground army of gateway units, no problem. But it really goes down to like where is it going to land on the drone side of things, the army side of things, and when does the army of TeebuL hit, and how complex is it going to be? We see a Robo Bay going down as well, so he is going to start heading towards tier 3.
TeebuL's misreading it a little bit because he didn't see a 4th base. So he's kind of like, oh, there's no 4th base out here. He's going to queen walk me. That's what he's feeling because what's he seeing? Mass queen, mass roach. And that's why he's making so many cannons and batteries. And only now is he opening up every part of the tech tree. If TeebuL knew what we knew, that RiSky is actually just trying to macro on up here, he would have taken a 4th base already. And he would already be rushing up the tech tree even earlier than what he's done here. Phoenix trying to get some pickoffs a little bit too fancy here. Does get a few more drones. The Phoenix aren't the most useful unit. And is this a swap back into Hydra Bane from RiSky? That's bizarre.
I mean, yes, the Robo Bay is going to be fantastic against things like that. It's unfortunate for RiSky as far as like on paper here.
Yeah, I mean, Banelings and Roaches don't really mesh that well together en masse. Like some Ravages is good, but otherwise the Roaches and Hydras together will kind of get the Banelings stuck on them. So RiSky's making a bit of, yeah, it's a bit of an odd composition RiSky's making. It's a good composition for surviving and defending, but if TeebuL just improves his army enough, it's going to scale a lot better into the late game. Problem for TeebuL, no 4th base just yet. Still no 4th base.
Yeah. I think as a result, you know, RiSky's been sending out Lings every now and then to have a look at the, you know, how many bases there are for the Protoss. Not going to be surprised to see RiSky just mass units here and make a lot of Banelings, expecting some kind of a Protoss attack. He's not super sure what it's going to consist of. You know, he hasn't seen a follow-up since the Phoenixes. That Void Ray flirting with the devil there, or at least a couple queens, which might be the devil, depending on your definition.
175 hit point tanky lasses that both inject hatcheries.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, Void Ray on the right-hand side getting picked off there. I think we had a disconnection on Discord, Pig. I don't know if you're still there, but...
yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, I got you. I got you. Some roboticness making me think about that World Finals again. It's always a good memory.
I'll be hot swapping the connection once this game's over, but for now the Roaches getting chased back by the Zealot Archon. That's a lot of Zealot Archon. That's a pretty early to mid-game army. And with lots of Banelings coming out, of course, Zealot's not going to be useful versus that. TeebuL should probably pull back and conserve these units. He does not have a lot of money to waste because he does not have the same economy output as RiSky. So it does throw away a bunch of Zealots. They're not the most important unit. He's doing it in the bottom right as well. Doesn't feel like any drones are going down.
Yeah, I mean, he's killing Lings. A few Banelings have also been picked off, but 16 Zealots died during that attack, which is a big mineral sink there for TeebuL. RiSky shooting further ahead in supply here, and he's got a lovely bank as well. Looks like he might be saving a little bit of supply cap to get some of those really nasty tier 3 units out. The Lurker Den getting dropped as well. And the Lurker Den, now that's going to be a problem for TeebuL if that thing gets up. His army, I don't feel like is powerful enough to deal with it. He's got the tech to be able to make the units that are good against the Lurker, but he doesn't have a ton of it just yet.
Well, a good little pack of Disruptors definitely keeps back Lurkers on their own, but with the Hive finishing, you're absolutely right. Viper's right. They can just absolutely yoink him out. You don't have the Storm in here just yet as TeebuL. It's definitely a tough situation.
Yeah. Lots and lots of Zealots coming in here, justifying these Banelings for RiSky. The Banelings are more than happy to see just a cluster of charge. Lots of big attack over here at the third Nexus. And TeebuL's third is very, very important to him. He's had this thing for a long time. He's not got a 4th base to evacuate to. I mean, he does now. But he's losing some of that static defense at the front. RiSky disengaging, forcing TeebuL to move. Prism attack in the main base, and RiSky's busy on the left side dealing with the harassment, so his units are not en route, so the Zealot's going to find some damage on the main.
Ooh, this is really good. Gets a few queens on both sides of the map. Great for TeebuL to pull RiSky away from him. TeebuL, I'd love to see take a 5th base. Gases on his 4th, really evolve. He's got a great Archon Disruptor army, and against Hydra Bane, that's fantastic. I mean, if he could start pushing, honestly... Right now, RiSky's composition is really weak, Maynard. I don't think he has many Lurkers out just yet. It's just Hydra Bane. If TeebuL could max out, he really could just finish this game off here by picking off a base or two. But once RiSky gets those Lurkers out with Seismic Spines, with a few Vipers overhead, things are going to turn upside down.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so many Archons, my goodness. Vipers are on the way here for RiSky. Lurkers have been morphed. They're on their way to getting +2 attack as well. The upgrade's definitely looking good for TeebuL. Oh my god, that Archon count. Holy crap. That's so many cotton balls of death. Speaking of balls of death, here come the Disruptors.
Ooh, look at those big shots. Oh, okay, gets a couple on the left. Not bad. A bunch of Hydras going down. These are good trades for TeebuL.
RiSky looking for some harassment here. Looks like he might be able to get a cancel on 9 o'clock. His Lings are... Oh, okay, they're focused on the Zealots, so maybe not. They're going to get cleaned up here.
And, yep, those Zealots are going to defend pretty well. TeebuL's getting towards that 5th base. 73 probes versus 82. Neither player having a super large bank. RiSky higher on supply, but that army is so tanky. I mean, Hydras, Lings, Banes, Roaches do nothing against that number of Archons. Lurkers, though, get a good pack of Lurkers. They'll blast those Archons down from afar. The Zerglings look for the cancel on the left. Zealots going in on all sides as well. Both sides are harassing each other, looking for those weak spots from their opponent. Where are the abducts on these Disruptors? That's what we've got to be asking. There's Vipers out. There's 3 of them. They've got to be grabbing those Disruptors.
I think we'll be seeing them momentarily here. It's time for the Vipers to shine. Disruptors getting launched. Oh my god! Those connections! The Disruptors just stacked 5 shots at once into that pack of Hydras. 18 of them have gone down.
The Vipers were in range as well, but he was distracted, pulling his drones from the top left away from the Zealots, Maynard. Oh, RiSky not having his screen in the right place at the right time and missing. That was honestly an opportunity. He could have abducted pretty much every single one of those. It just canceled their shots, killed the Disruptors. That could have been such a swing in his favor. Instead, TeebuL takes out some of the best part of his army. Oh, High Templar caught in the open, very sloppy. And he even catches his own High Templar with the Disruptor.
All right, well, I guess TeebuL didn't care about having High Templar anyway. I'll just assume that's the case as they all go down. An amazing catch there for RiSky, no doubt. All the Vipers are left in the middle of the map a little bit here. RiSky, he's got to get that Viper hotkey. Oh, no, the Archons getting directly underneath them. They all die for absolutely no value whatsoever. The Archons and Disruptors looking scarier than ever. This tier 3 army is absolutely terrifying. In comes RiSky's poultry force of Hydras. He's got a handful of Disruptors trying to split as best as he can. Repositioning against those Disruptors with the Burrow upgrade in hand here for himself. The extra Vipers on the right-hand side getting juiced up. They've got energy. They're ready for the abducts. The Hydra's waiting for something to be abducted into them. These High Templar are here again, dropping the feedbacks. The Viper low on hit points and no energy to speak of. No juice to be able to cut loose here for the Zerg. Oh, Pig. This is looking dicey for RiSky.
Oh man, this is just so many good Disruptor shots coming in. The Archon count is so tanky. You can't punish this army by jumping on top of it as RiSky. You need a higher Lurker count. You've got to defend those Lurkers with Vipers. Hydras are not what's going to make it. You need to make sure you get a bigger Lurker count and just reinforce that army. Right now, it's just mission survive for RiSky. Hang on.
Oh no! The Disruptors once again finding insane connections on those Hydras. RiSky is bleeding units here. TeebuL is max. RiSky struggling to maintain 150 supply. He's down in army. He's up. He's up in no particular section that I can see in StarCraft. I mean, he's got himself some tier 3, but so does TeebuL. He's got so many Archons, so many Disruptors, and now he's starting to throw in the carrier just for good measure. The Vipers just have not been as instrumental as they normally are for Zerg at this phase of the game. RiSky being just stretched a little bit too thin. He's lost Vipers multiple times. He's just eaten massive Disruptor Novas as well. And these trades, I mean, they work for you if you're up a lot in supply and you're really far ahead. But if you're on even footing, you get real far behind. And I think that, unfortunately for RiSky, is the case currently in this game.
I mean, this is ridiculous. This is literally the most obese Protoss army I've ever seen. There are so many chonky boys.
So much thickness.
Just running around, those thick Archons with the Disruptors behind them. And this is an army that is completely hard countered by Mass Lurker with Viper support Maynard. But it's just too many Vipers, and Lurkers have been sniped. The Disruptors, he's doing some nice dodges. That's good micro by RiSky. He's got to gather energy on those Vipers. And remember, this is an army that can be incredibly cost efficient. RiSky could get back in this game. He's trying to make Broodlords now. Honestly, I don't really see that as the priority. I understand there's High Templar out now. There's feedback that can be used. But TeebuL hasn't really been keeping those in front of his army. Even just yoinking Archons to the Lurkers to their death would be fantastic. I think RiSky has room to stabilize in this game, but he's going to be going into the late game in that awkward position where you've got a lot of Hydras and Lings, units you don't want in your end game army. How do you trade those out? How do you swap them out for more Infestors, Queens, Broodlords, and how do you secure a 5th in the top left? Also, how do you add Spores when your drone count's so low? That being said, he's still got to survive. We're already getting ahead of ourselves by talking about that late game stage. Oh my god, not again!
The Nova's once again finding several Hydras. RiSky, I mean, good control here and there, but unfortunately is still eating way too much damage from these disruptors. The Broods are on the way. They're about to finish. TeebuL is switching into air, though. He's got that carrier. If the Hydras are here with the Broods, maybe he can keep the Interceptors at bay and get those Broods to do their job and push back the Archons. They certainly can do that. We got some Storms on top of that Brood cluster, though, forcing them back. Some bad weather for those Broods. But with those Broodlings, they will eventually push the Protoss back.
Yeah, Broods do keep him alive for now. RiSky back on 4 bases. He needs to actually hold down the drone key and try to macro up, I think. But he's going all in. He's not retaking a hatchery right now. He's on full corruptors. He's going to try and kill. He has the ultimate ground killing army right now. He has a decent little pack of Hydras, and he's rallying corruptors. There's not that much air out. This is, like I said, it's mostly Archon Disruptor. This is kind of a bit of a dodgy army for TeebuL, who's also got a crazy work account. So he's got to try and find the correct fight. Does TeebuL? Lurkers, fantastic units against his army.
Yeah, the Lurkers did a good job there, and also yoinked one of those Disruptors into the pack. They got eaten up by the Zerg units. Another Disruptor going down to the Broodlings here. The Disruptor's kind of not super useful anymore. The Archons also a little bit of a liability as the Broodlings push them back. It's hard for the Archons to push through those Broodlings to get underneath those air units and get on top of those Lurkers anymore. RiSky, he's actually left that bowl of Lurkers a little exposed in the back line here. Mothership also involved. Is there any overseers in this army for RiSky? I don't think there are.
Oh, nice pushback by TeebuL. The Broodlords there, maybe not stutter stepping quite as well as they could have. They're just trying to get out of there. They're not even focusing on turning and shooting. And Mama, of course, a big problem there with that cloaking field. Oh, no overseers. I mean, this is such a nightmare scenario. Mama comes in and says, you can't fight what you can't see. And that takes out all of the power units. RiSky's got nothing left.
Yeah, seems like he's got a little bit too little too late here for this particular Protoss Armada, with Mama coming down them stairs saying, don't you touch my babies! She is going to, I think, assisting her children to escort RiSky out of this video game. TeebuL knocking on the precipice of a 2-1 victory here to get the revenge from earlier in the group stage.
Yeah, this is absolutely massive for TeebuL, and this is, of course, the elimination match to decide who ends up, the decider match, I should say, who ends up going through in second place here in that group. And it is such an important match, but you can see the frustration there. RiSky realizing there's no path back into this game. He's got 53 drones. He's going to try to rebuild that army and take the best fight of all time. Without infestors, I'm not sure if that's possible.
Yeah, and even then, like, the amount that you need to make the infestor work, like, it's not just about having the right units, about having the right amount, and also having an economy behind it to make the units that actually fight back and destroy everything here for the Protoss.
Yeah, I mean, think about like those skateboarding videos where they do the perfect trick, but it takes them like 500 goes of hurting themselves to get that one shot. Right. I mean, RiSky needs to get that first time right now. He needs to get that sick, amazing playoff, and it's just not possible. Numbers-wise, he does not have the tools.
And that is definitely going to be enough Protoss to get the job done here. The tools are pretty good here for TeebuL as he just drops all of those bad weather units, all those spells all over RiSky's army. The space magic being felt by the Zerg, unfortunately. The Zerg fans and RiSky, he's out of life. He's out of options. That's it for him for this season.
Bullied out by Mass Archon Disruptor. This is something he probably hasn't experienced that much before. Oh, the recall into the main. Oh, the style finish. That is the Manamula Protoss, that is. And that will, I think, get RiSky to tap out.
Yeah, there's that GG. And TeebuL has done it. Got the revenge in the best of 3 here.